Great morning, guys. I hope all is well. We're starting off Monday morning, July 8th. A brand new month, a brand new week as well. And I just wanted to come out and do a little bit of encouragement. If you guys do not know, my name is Shan, and the podcast has now been changed to the Metamorphosis Effect. And to me, the process of the Metamorphosis Effect, when the caterpillar goes inside the cocoon and comes out a beautiful butterfly, is exactly the process that God desires for us to come in as we are and come and leave out so much more beautiful and so much more strong, and also eating of different things when we come out. I love that part. But today we're not going to talk about the metamorphosis effect in detail. Today I want to talk a little bit about Naomi, and not Ruth, but Orpah. Yes, I said Orpah. I know that makes it like a curse word, because unfortunately, every time we've heard this story of Naomi and Ruth and Orpah, it's always Orpah being beat up. It's always Orpah ain't about that life. Orpah ain't know what she was doing. Orpah wanted to go back to her gods. And I don't think that Orpah gets enough grace. Um, Also, in reading the word, I do think that sometimes we've become so accustomed to reading and hearing certain stories that we almost don't even really read them when we read them. We just kind of read what we've already heard. Like we're replaying the story that we've already heard in our heads as we read, and opposed to actually going into the word and reading it for new revelation and fresh revelation. So um I just have the aggravating gift of always looking at the underdog in the story. Um, it's a very tedious gift. I have the gift of being able to look at the journey within the story. Because, okay, just imagine like your family lineage, right? Your family lineage started way before you were here. So your last name has its own story, right? But you have your own story. So you can't confuse your story with your family's story and overlook the fact that everything that happened to you as an individual, not as a whole, as a family. So I think that's what we do sometimes. And we have a story of Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah. Naomi is the mother-in-law, and basically Naomi's husband takes her from her land where they are originally, because there's a famine in the land, and they go off to another place with their two sons. Eventually the two sons, well, the husband passes first. The two sons take on women of that new land, and they make their own new family. However, the two sons pass as well. So now it's just women. We know that back in biblical times, women didn't have a lot of say so. You really didn't have a lot of authority or power alone, as a woman alone. So you needed a man as a covering. So Naomi was in a very horrible place mentally, and she handled it like she was in a bad place. She basically told her two daughter-in-laws, Ruth and Orpah, and the story doesn't say who husband passes first. The story doesn't say who's the oldest, who's the youngest. All we know is that in the story, we have Naomi as the mother-in-law and Ruth and Orpah as the daughter-in-laws, and now they have no husbands, no men around to protect them whatsoever. So Naomi makes the decision to go back to her land, where she believes that God is still blessing her people, but she's going to go back. So she tells her daughter-in-laws, hey, you go back to your God and I'll go back to my God and my land, and you just do your thing, and I'm sorry, I can't help you. I can't get a husband at this age to cover us, and even if I had children at this age, you would have to wait to be able to marry them. They'd be much younger. It'd be a total process. Hey, let's just, part ways. Excuse me. So Naomi is saying, let's just part ways. So I do want to read a little bit. I just paraphrased a lot. So please go back and read it yourself. This is Ruth 1 through 14. But I want to pick up right here at 1 and 13. And this is the NIV. So it says, would you wait until they grew up? Would you remain unmarried for them? They're talking about, Naomi is talking about if she was able to go and marry someone else and have a son. So the question is, would you wait until they grew up? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters, it is more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord's hand has turned against me. That's 113. And then 114 reads, at this they wept aloud again. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. So this is usually where the preachers like to pick up, and Ruth was this and Orpah wasn't about that life, and you need the one that's gonna ride or die, and all of that, right? But let's take it back up a little bit. So Naomi is the one who has the faith. Naomi is the one who is the believer. Naomi is the one who, she's the elder in the situation. So again, we do not know whose husband passed first. We do not know who got married first. We do not know who was the one that had to sit around and watch the ricochet effect of Naomi take hit after hit, losing her husband, and then losing her first son, and then losing the second son. That takes time to build up on people, and as it builds up, it breaks you down. So we don't know who was the one that actually got to watch her faith kind of drift away. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. But we do know that in 13, Naomi flat out told them that the Lord's hand had turned against her. Now, you the elder, you the one with the faith, you the one that I'm supposed to be following. And you talked all this. We do know that she was already in a sad place, a bitter place. And this is the way that you talking. So me, as somebody that's following you, me, somebody that's trusting God through the relationship that you portrayed to me, what now? The Lord hand turned against you. I mean, in reality, who signs up for that? You know, who signs up for that? Like, who's jumping on that boat saying, okay, yeah, girl, like, listen, child, we be going through out here in these streets, but listen, like, okay, I don't even know your God for real. I don't know him. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know him. But he turned his hand against you, and I'm gonna come right there with you. I'm coming. It's not reality. In reality, Orpah knows her God. She knows the ups and downs. You know, every religion has their own, and I don't like that word, but it is what it is. But every different religion or denomination, they all have their own little rules and, you know, little traditions and everything. So it's like, okay, well, I know that if I go over here and I do something and I know that, you know, they're going to require that my hand be cut off if I steal. I get that, and I can deal with that because I know what's going on over here in my land. But I don't know what's going on over here with your God. Like, man, I can't see him. He run around talking about he done turned his hand against you. I don't like spanking. How does this affect me moving forward? I do believe that, of course, obviously we know the story with Ruth, and I do believe that that's been kind of half preached to us too, because a lot of what Ruth did, the gleaning in the field, that was a law. You know, if you were known as a poor person, considered a poor person in that land, you went and you gleaned and you took up whatever you could afterwards, and you would make do with that. So it's not so much of, you know, oh, he just fell in love with her or whatever, you know, but it was a lot of law. It was a lot of family ties that went into it. When you took on Naomi, you would take on a lot with her. So it was just a lot more than what was really preached to us, unfortunately. But, you know, kudos to Ruth. No shade to Ruth. We are so proud of her. Thank God for her meeting her Boaz. Don't mean that that's going to be my story, but I do absolutely adore her for that. You know, we clap for Ruth. We are not haters over here, but we don't want to throw shade on Orpah either, because Orpah is an individual in this story. She is not the story. And her story matters just as much as the full story. And I think that a lot of times we overlook this, and this happens even in our own regular life every day, but most definitely when we're reading the word, we don't deal with things on the individual level. You know, we look at it as, this is just a story, this is just, you know, a little fairy tale, you know, we just having story time, ain't none of this real. But in reality, it is really real, and everyone is looking at us. Like right now, it's so much going on in the world, It's so much going on in the world. And if you say that you believe in God, then you got more eyes on you than you know. I'll be honest. Like, if you say that you believe in God, then we a lot of times think it's just our babies, our kids that's watching us. But your husband is watching, your baby daddies is watching, your co-workers is watching, the neighbors are watching. Everybody's watching to see how you react to things, how you allow life to move you, how you allow things to crank you up or be able to mellow you down. These are the things that people are watching for, and some are watching for inspiration, and some are watching to be negative. We know that. We're not fools. We know that people are literally watching to hope to see that we fall. We are fully aware that there are real deal haters out there. Some that we have offended, please forgive us. Some that we don't even know. Some we've never even spoken to, but they just don't like our aura and the spirit that's within us, and that is okay. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Remember that. So we do understand that we got haters, but look though, the people that are watching for inspiration, they matter way more. Like, they're worth talking about way more than the haters are. So with that being said, is even if you're not a Naomi, and I say that as in age, I say that as in being an elder, as in being a mother-in-law. If you are a believer, of Christ, if you believe in the spirit of Yahweh, then this is the mandate that's there for us, that we have to walk a certain way. And I know, trust me, I know life be life, and like, literally, I'll go ahead and be a little transparent. I just went through a situation where I was in a car accident on May 28th, and then May 30th, I came home to a letter being on my apartment door saying that I had 15 days to move, that they were ending my lease to lease month, my month to month lease, and that we had 15 days to vacate. There wasn't much more information. Now, not that I want to throw other people in the boat, but to God be the glory, it wasn't just a personal attack. It was the entire building. We was in the quadruplex, so it was 4 different apartments that had the same notice on it. So I'm very grateful to know that, like I say, it wasn't just a personal attack, like boom, boom, boom. But it did frustrate my mind. It did get me very upset. It did, get me very boggled. But I had just gotten in a car accident. And I had been, I'm very good about staying in my prayer closets, very good about, staying in my word. So when it hit me, everybody in the apartments was upset. All the girls, it was in this complete apartment complex. It was 3 single mothers, right? Like me and 2 other girls, and then 1 other Spanish family. It was a husband and a wife. But everybody else was single, and we were all like, just kind of sitting outside talking about it. So everybody was really upset and going in and going off. And I was just kind of like, okay, well, I'm finna go in the house, and I'm finna have prayer and take a nap, and I'll call y'all, I'll come back down and talk to y'all later. I'll call y'all tomorrow. And they was like, you finna go pray and take a nap? I was like, yeah. What else can I do? I can sit out here and stress out. I just got in a car accident. I could possibly have a full heart attack. I have an 11-year-old and a 2-year-old that need me active every day. I'm finna go in here. I'm finna lay this paper across the floor. I'm finna stretch out and pray over it, and I'm going to take a nap. I am. And I'm going to get up, and then I'm going to let God do what he do. So as time went on, I kept that same posture, and it wasn't really to kind of try to impress nobody. I was just trying to keep myself sane. You know what I'm saying? Because in reality, I really did get in a car accident. I really did have a lot that was going on already. It was the end of the school year. I was wrapping up things with one area. My daughter was in 5th grade, and then getting prepared for the 6th grade school year. So it was a lot that was going on. And I just didn't want to die. I didn't want to die mentally. I didn't want to burn myself out. So I was like, okay, God, I have to trust you with this. Like, I have no other option in this. I have to trust you with this. So time went on. I called the people like the next day. They said, okay, you know what, we'll give you 30 to the end of the month, which was 31 days. So I say, okay, cool, I appreciate that, or whatever. We'll leave by the end of the month. So the entire month is going by, and I'm just like, okay, God, you're going to work it out. You're going to work it out. You're going to work it out. And I'm looking around and, looking for different places, and I'm still going to work. And One day the girl called and said, hey, I need to get on the prayer line, and I'm like, okay, cool. So she never called me, but she made the notion, she made the attempt, and it's working. You see what I'm saying? So ain't no pressure, but I see you, God. So I'm like, okay, cool. Then she's like, she calls one day, and we were actually sitting outside, and they called me for prayer, and then I actually just got a phone call. I do apologize. I got it on do not disturb now. um, but again, so we were sitting outside, and I got a phone call for prayer, and she was like, I said, do you want to pray? She said, no, I don't want to pray. I don't want to say anything. Just hold my hand. So I just held her hand while we prayed. So the very last day, I was getting ready to move, and I was getting all my things out, and my hip was moving really slow on that Saturday, and I was like, oh my God, like I do not have time for this. I don't want to deal with this all day. I just want to be able to get out and move on with what God has for me. So she gets to saying like, girl, forget this people's stuff. I burn this junk down, and girl, they gonna have to do this, and I ain't worried about them. And you say she out of town, child, boo, I take my time. You can come back and get that Monday. And I say, no, 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 sister. If this is not for me, I don't want it anymore. If my name is not on it, I don't want it anymore. You know why? Because God has something better for me and my children, and that is what I want. So I'm going to get up out this girl stuff, and I'm going to do exactly what I need to do to be able to move on in peace. One day I was like, hey, girl, I need to go to church with you. I need to go to church with you, child, because I just can't, and I'm just like, every little step matters. Every time she called, every time she say this, it matters. And I just gave that little small example. It just came to me because, again, I wasn't even really trying to impress. I wasn't trying to be like, okay, God, let me draw her in, and I want her saved. And I wasn't praying for her. I'll be honest, when I first moved into the complex, I really didn't want to be, because of the difference in mindsets. I really didn't want to be like friends, so we kept distance. But it was that situation that drew us to be able to talk. And in that, that one little month and a half that we talked like we did, like she was able to, grow a little bit. And of course, everything takes time. Nobody is perfect, never gonna be that. I don't care how long you say you love God, 80 years, you still got a thorn in your flesh. That's just the way that we are programmed. But I just thank God for the way that I was able to go about it. And I thank God that she was able to be able to see a little bit of God in me, that she would say, okay, let me think twice about the way that I speak, and let me move a little bit different. And I really pray that things have been going much better with her. But again, I said that to say that being the Naomi is not about age, it's not about position, it's not about your title. It's just about if you're a believer or not. If you really believe that God is love, if you really believe that, Jesus Christ is real, if you really, and when you speak and you're talking in your whatever language that you're speaking in, that, you're being led by the Holy Spirit, then when it comes down to it, we have a mandate that many others don't. And we just cannot allow things to rock us and push us. And when it does, we take it to our prayer closet in secret. So that way when we come out before people, we're not wearing what we're going through, and I truly believe that Naomi would have got double for her trouble had she kept her head a little bit higher. Had she spoke more highly of God in the presence of Orpah, she would have been able to get 2 daughter-in-laws remarried in no time. Like, boom, that's a bad girl. Okay, to come in here and take little baby Ruth and do something, we applaud you. But if you could have got 2 of them, you would have been a superwoman, girl. And again, it's no shade, because we all go through. We are human, and we are all going through our own journeys. So everybody's going to go through, and you're going to have some people that don't understand. That's, but that's why I do thank God that in this day and time, we have different ways to be able to, relax and be able to be fed in the spirit. You have devotionals, you have small groups, you have Bible plans that's on your phone. It could come right to your phone. You ain't got to have no Bible in your hand, which is still good to have, but you can have it on your phone. You can have it on your laptop. It's so many different ways to be able to, really feed yourself if you really want to. But we just cannot allow the situations and circumstances to have us so down to where we're not only beating ourselves up, we're not only beating up those around us, but girl, she started talking down on God, like the Lord turned his hand against me. Like, those are strong words, okay? Like, you have to be very, 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 very careful of how you allow people to see you react in God. So I have, I would say, a young lady that I adore to pieces. And some of you may know her as Mama Audrey. I call her auntie or evangelist. But she's been a complete blessing to my life. And she is the first person that always comes to mind when I think about the relationship and the age dynamic between Ruth and Naomi. She's not my mother-in-law, and I haven't been married just yet. When I think of Naomi, I always think of her, and I just absolutely adore her because I have seen her be a wife. I have seen her be a widow. I have seen her with 3 cars in her yard that she could drive at once, and I have seen her with 1 car in the yard. Through it all, she's been so strong and so motivated to just stay in God. Like, she serves people so much that her porch is like literally for the public. You know, she's a huge giver, and I've at her best, and I wouldn't say her worst because I don't think that I've been able to see anything that could be of her worst. But in her not so good moments, she's still been a beautiful light, a beautiful soul, because she has not shown me one time how we should give up. We've had conversations and she's seen me grow. So there are times where she has bled on me because she's seen me be able to heal a cut. Okay, because we don't bleed where we have not seen a person heal a cut. Only a fool would go to a doctor that ain't never did no successful work. Okay, so she has come to me at times where she has not been her strongest, you know, and that's because she's seen me grow in areas. But where she does not feel that I can handle it, she don't put it on me. You know, when she know that, hey, this is something that I can call Shan for and we can pray it through, hey, she calling me. But I would not be. I have grown, but I would not be a lot of what I am had not she played that, you know, that believing role. And I've seen her love God with a husband. I've seen her love God without a husband. I've seen her give to the homeless with a husband, and I've seen her give to the homeless without a husband. And this is what I mean. We have to make sure that if we standing on business at all times, like, who are you really? You know, who are you really? Do you love God because your husband loves God? Do you love God because you just been going to church for, 20 years and this is just a part of what you do? Or do you love God because you know that at the end of the day, he is your withal? You know, what is the basis of your relationship with God? And that's what holds us over when we go through really, really tough times, because tough times gonna happen. But I do want to definitely encourage you that, again, being a Naomi is not about your age. It's not about title. It's not about position. It is about, if you are a believer, if you love God in your heart, do your best to keep your head held high. Keep your prayer closet wide open. And I mean wide open. The door don't need to be pushed to. It don't need to be halfway closed. We need the prayer closet door wide open at all times, so that you can easily have access. Let's get on in there. Deal with that in the prayer closet. That way, when you come before people, you look like glory. Come on, somebody. You look like you've been in the secret place. You look like, you have a glow or an aura about you that says, hey, you good. And even, it's so crazy because me and my aunt's relationship has gotten to the point to where when certain things go on in our life, we listen to each other talk about it, but we're not in a rush to like fix the problem, because we know that you're gonna be good. It's like, okay, this too shall pass. You just start to learn the process. Like, girl, okay, yeah, I hear you. Okay. And we're gonna pray, and then we're gonna laugh, and we're gonna talk, and I might come over there later on and she gonna make some cornbread and stuff, and we're gonna laugh, and then we moving on to the next trial. because we go from glory to glory, faith to faith, and then that's just it. I mean, if you want to grow, there are going to be certain challenges and things that you have to go through. And I know it sucks, but when you look back, you can definitely say, okay, God, I don't know how you did that. I don't know how we get here. But I thank God we here. We made it. You hear me? I thank God that we are here. We made it. And we're going to keep pumping. And we're going to keep pumping. We're going to keep pumping. We are now in our new place. Again, this is July, I think, 8th today. So, yeah, we are in our new place. And that was May 31st when we had to leave. And I just, I tell God, thank you so much, because he was able to work it out. I was able to, have the finances. I thank God for every resource. I thank God for every client that came through, the way that the doors just opened, and I was able to make the funds in such a short time. But I want to tell you that, I do honestly believe that had I cried a lot more, had I pitied myself, had I been walking around in sorrow, baby, I wouldn't be nowhere. Because I do believe that a lot of times it's not what we go through, but how we go through. And as we mature, we realize that, just like a baby, a toddler, I got a 2-year-old that get on the floor and, want to throw a tantrum here and there, but my 11-year-old is way past that stage. When she get upset, you feel it in her energy. Like she be walking around like a Brahma bull. Like, well, wait a minute. What is going on up in this house? I will not be bullied. I will not. But with that being said, the way that they react to the same thing is totally different. And that's because one is 2 and one is 11. So as we grow up, our reaction has to change. We have to change. We cannot walk around like the same baby, throwing the same tantrums. We cannot do the same things. And I just thank God, because I know where I used to be. And I know I would have been hollering, pray for me every day. And I would have been on the altar flipping around and dancing through the church. And I just thank God that he's got me in the place now to where I'm starting to understand. So much more learning to do. But that's actually what this says. Oh my God, I love it. So, but this is the Queen Still Clean calendar. Hey, y'all like it, y'all like it, y'all. I love it. I don't care if you don't like it. I love it. So, anyway, this is my first calendar that I did, and I'm super proud of it, as you can see. But this is the month of July, and I set it for spiritual rest. It's like in the middle, and it's in the transition. So we're getting ready for getting back to school. We're getting out of school. So much going on. It's the summertime, so it's in the middle of the year. So I just wanted to, in my mind, when I did it, the Holy Spirit led me to make that area, this particular month, a month of rest. And not physical rest, but spiritual rest. And I'm learning so much more about that as well. I won't do that right now because that'll be another 20 minutes. But listen, so this here actually says, let me see if you can see it. Let's see, can you see it? So it's a nice little glare. But it says, come to me, all of you who are tired from the heavy burden you have been forced to carry. I will give you rest. Accept my teaching, learn from me. I am gentle and humble in spirit, and you will be able to get some rest. Yes, the teaching that I ask you to accept is easy. The load I give you to carry is light. And that is Matthew 11:28-30. So yes, there's always so much more learning to do. This is my Bible. I would like you guys to go back and read it yourself if you are not familiar with it. Even if you are familiar with it, like I said, sometimes we can just read what we've already heard. So go back, read the words, try different translations, different versions. If you don't like the King James, you can't understand everything. It's absolutely fine. I mean, I don't speak Spanish, so I don't read Spanish. So you're going easy to read version. They have the New International version. They have the New Living version. It's all different kind of versions that you can read to be able to help you better process it. And then if none of that helps, go to the Holy Spirit. Ask God what it is that he's trying to say to you through this particular scripture, this particular story and passage, and allow him to guide you to the understanding of it. But yes, please go back and read it. This is the book of Ruth. The story of Ruth is in the book of Ruth. Okay, the story of Ruth is in the book of Ruth. Don't go looking all back there in James talking about where the story at, because it's in Ruth. Okay? All right, y'all. Love you guys. Be blessed. Have a great day. And remember, keep your head high. You get double for your trouble. Love y'all.